What's important is that when you do click on that advanced job search, you can continue to narrow by things that matter to you, not just those things on the left that are so broad like salary, okay? So you can actually continue to refine based on key terminology. Phrases that you would like to include, phrases you like to exclude. You can do one or the other, or you can do both. For example, you may be searching and you see all these jobs that require a clinical license to do the job. Well, let's remove that then. It might be something we aspire to, but if that's not something we have, well, let's get those jobs out of there. If they require a license you don't have, you either have to get it and then get the job, or eliminate them if you don't plan on it. So sometimes there's extra steps, certifications, licensing that you don't plan on doing. So you can actually exclude them as you narrow your searches. And you might remember that up at the top on the right-hand side in the first slides, when you're doing these big broad searches and it said, here's some other jobs that have these terms, this is where you start to learn about those clinical or non-clinical positions, licensing or not. Entering companies of interest. It gives you an opportunity to say, those Novartis reviews were pretty good and I'd like to just go ahead and enter it. Well, you can. You want to work at that winery? No problem. You can select the job or shift type, so both full-time, part-time, but also first shift, second shift, whatever is suiting to your schedule, you can actually go ahead and find an opportunity for. You can define your salary range, so instead of just clicking on one of those buttons on the left, you could say, you know what, I will not tolerate anything lower than this, and I'd like something upwards of whatever the high end is. If unsure, just continue to use the broad filters that were on the left-hand side that I pointed out with the brackets. That will be enough to really help you refine so that you're not overwhelmed with data and that you're still hitting at the right level. So you can be as specific as you want or as broad as you want. And that's really nice for all levels of the job process. Maybe in this beginning period, you're going to be really broad. And then as you get opportunities and you go out throughout your life and you start learning about things and you get more experience, you can be more and more refined. This platform allows you to do both, and that's why it's really nice. Now, what kind of instructor would I be if I just put those in bullets and I didn't actually show you on the Indeed platform what it looked like? Here it is. When you're doing the advanced job search and you scroll down past geography and how many hits per page you want to see, you're going to find the opportunity to do what we just said. Filter with exact phrases, with at least one of these words, with none of these words, with these words in the title, from this company. Look at all these opportunities. I don't want the word clinical in there. I don't want the word license in there. Get it out of there. Go ahead. It says job types, all of them. But you can continue to refine. Whatever you need to do, including, importantly, your salary estimates. For funsies, let's actually refine by, and you can see it on the left-hand side here, clicking part-time. With all this school thing, that might be as much as you can do. That makes total sense. Look at how the number of jobs changed. I have SAC, I have biology lab technician as I've had. I still have the 100-mile distance. That took me from over 500 back all the way down to 49. So, this is important. We've gone through, and as you can see here, understand all the limiting factors that you can control, meaning filters to apply to jobs. Salary, the hours you have, the interest you have, your values, the companies you want, the areas you want to live in. But here are things beyond your control that control these numbers. And this is not an exhaustive list, but here's some limiting factors that go way above and beyond you. Like, for example, in addition to anything you're going to put in as a user, your results, your experience is going to be impacted by the calendar. Do you see how our initial search gave us 7,000 jobs, and right now you're staring at 49 opportunities based on part-time employment within 100 miles of Sacramento? That's not a lot, and that's in part because we're searching on November and maybe more and more and more opportunities are going to be, especially for internships and entry-level positions, available come when companies know students are going to enter the job market after they graduate. So March and April. Not only that, but that's when companies' quarterly numbers might come in and they know what they have to hire for the coming year. And maybe at the end of the year, they're not hiring as much. So don't be discouraged necessarily when you see these numbers that are really low. It could be completely impacted by the time of year, and that's something you cannot control. And a reason why you need to sign up for those job alerts so that you know when the hot time is coming. If all of a sudden you're getting a ton of hits and a ton of job alerts and it's March, you know that this is a hot time of year. Company budgets we just mentioned, well, this is a really important thing. Sometimes you see a job posting. We mentioned before that it might not even be an actual live one, that they might have filled it internally. But they also might not even have the money to actually come through and fulfill that employment. Sometimes companies post a job and are waiting for the numbers, and the job is live and hundreds of people, if not thousands of people have applied. And in the end, it turns out the company pulls it because they don't have the budget. And so this brings me to one of my favorite quotes from the famous microbiologist Louis Pasteur. And yes, that's the same Pasteur as pasteurization. And yes, this is the man that brought the world wine. And yes, we talked about wineries, so it has to come from this guy. Where observation is concerned, chance favors only the prepared mind. What that means is you do your part. You study. You work hard. You display the 3 Ps, patience, persistence, positivity. You're doing all you can. But you also need luck. You also need timing. You also need fortune. Whatever you want to say that word to be. There are factors out of your control that require you to be patient, persistent, and positive throughout the process. And know that it's not you. That there are factors beyond your control, and it's going to happen when you do your part. You also need a little luck. And anybody who tells you otherwise just isn't being honest. All this wine talk, all this Louis Pasteur makes me really want to use the lab technician 1 position at the Wine Group LLC in Ripon, California, where the grapes are ripening. I want to use that as my example. So let's do it. Here's your example. Let's actually see what a job looks like. Let's go down to the nitty-gritty now. Let's get to the skill set. We got to get to the skill set. So I'm clicking on Lab Technician 1, and the details are pulling on the right-hand side here, and you can see there's a scroll bar, and so there's lots of information. It starts off with the company description. Aha! Why we want to do all that market research, why they bother to put company descriptions on there, is to see if you're each a good match. It's not just a waste of space. Here's the job summary. Look at all these words, okay? I don't start reading there, though, and I'll get back to that in a second, all right? So, first things first. Maybe you're just in job hunting mode and you want to stay organized and you're keeping your spreadsheet, but you also just want to use the Indeed platform. You can click Save Job. I've boxed that up there for any of the jobs you see here as you're reading and learn. You also see the ability to apply on the company website. And again, you need to be ready with your resume. We'll get to applications later. If it's the skills that pay the bills, it's also the skills that a company is hiring you for. So what's really important is to look at the functions of the job and the requirements that this company has for the job. And you can see here that this is at the level 1 position. So this was the technician for the winery at the level 1 position. So I've gone past the company description. I've scrolled down on the right-hand side to the functions and requirements. What do they want you to be? What do you need to have to do this job? That's not just because they are requiring you to do things for no reason. It's because, well, it's required. And your ability to do a job, to keep a job, requires it. So it's one thing to get a job. It's quite another to keep it. So let's take a look at what you can find here. I'm not going to read this whole thing, obviously, but I want to point out some personal and professional skills that we talked about in the first video that you've defined for yourself that may or may not be a match, and that you're going to have to demonstrate to them through your application materials. You can't talk to them right now, but in your resumes, personal statements, and cover letters, you have to convey certain things. Like, for example, the ability to effectively communicate and collaborate with colleagues. And we talked about management, and we talked about leadership, and we talked about indicating team-based projects. Your courses are filled with them. The serious lab project, for example, that you had in Bio 2, if you took Bio 2 here, and you'll have in other classes like Bio 139 and others, incorporate elements of analyzing samples from the American River and working with your classmates and your instructors to do so. And that requires communication and collaboration. Those are science-specific ones. Maybe it was at your job at McDonald's and you were the shift coordinator and you had to do all these things. And even if you weren't the shift coordinator, you had to do all those things. I don't know a job out there that doesn't ask for communication and collaboration. Here's another one. Perform routine analysis at all stages of the winemaking process. Okay, that's fantastic. It says equipment such as auto titrators, spectrophotometers, densitometers. I don't even know what that is. Wow, this is beyond me. GCs, HPLCs, NIRs or IRs, balances, pH meters. I sure know this. That sounds like chemistry. Okay? And now you might be thinking that is way above you right now. That's okay. It is not too early to do this because you know what this can do? This can guide your coursework choices so that you can have these skill sets. All of this stuff screams out to me that there's a course within our curriculum here at Sac State that you could take. And that would be Chemistry 31, Quantitative Analysis. Hey, if you really want this job and you're en route to the degree, going through this process of looking at the desired skill sets and seeing what you have and where you want to go and what you need really helps guide your coursework. So why not consider taking Chem 31 if this is the thing for you? Because you're going to hit on most, if not all of these in that course. It's never, ever too early to look this up. This could help your planning. This can help you stay organized. Please don't forget that, okay? And you could read all the other ones too. If you kept scrolling down the right-hand side past the company description, past what we just talked about of those skill sets, there are more qualifications. I'm not going to read all these, but I will point out a few, and you can spend some time, if you'd like, pausing and looking to see where you fit. How about demonstrated reliability and punctuality? Remember, it's not enough to say I'm a punctual person. It's not enough to say I'm a reliable person. That's a very subjective comment that needs a data piece to support it. So you have to demonstrate that. What did you do in your coursework? What did you do in your lab classes? What did you do at your jobs, your volunteering, your extracurricular activities, your student organizations? Did you run for office? How do you demonstrate those things? Okay, think about your experience. This is what they want you to be. Okay, and if you're not there yet, that's okay. Let's build the rest of your curriculum and get there. Join clubs, get volunteering, do an internship, schedule the right classes, talk with your advisors, and let's do it. Here we go. More about communicating and collaborating. Boy, you know, if they took the time to put it in 2 different bullets, you must know it's important. Positivity, that's one of our P's. Positive attitude. Does not get caught up in negativity. Nobody wants the negative Nelly on their team. It just takes one negative person to bring down the dynamics of an entire group, and they're spelling it out for you. Be positive. Don't get caught up in negativity. Biology's hard, jobs are hard, whether that's a winery or otherwise, there's going to be failure, and you need to know how to troubleshoot it and move on. Okay? Look at this. The ability to apply concepts such as percentages, ratios, and proportions to practical situations. Boy, oh boy, I wish this class had a biomath component of some kind. I wish we did some mathy stuff. Why didn't Bio 100 apply concepts such as percentages, ratios, and proportions to practical, like C1V1 equals C2V2 percent solutions, molar solutions? Why didn't we do that? Oh, what? We did? Oh, you can use Bio 100? You mean this whole course has been hopefully introducing you to skills that you can actually use, like the ones I'm showing you here? Communicating and collaborating? Didn't we do group work all semester long that required it? Haven't we asked you to do a lot of these things? Even at the bottom, look at those computer skills. You go beyond those computer skills, especially if you did R. And I think we did. Now you can see what we're doing. Bio, hundo, keeping it 100. And yes, that is a secret code that your instructors have been using behind the scenes to refer to Bio 100 as Bio Hundo. We're keeping it real. We're keeping it 100. The last piece I'm going to point out in a specific job ad as you scroll down is actually the place I would have started with, and it's often at the bottom. You can see here they've actually given you 3 levels of positions that fall under lab technician 1, 2, and 3, like I mentioned before. So you can see that the degree is the same, a bachelor's degree, but for each of these, the years of experience changes. In the first one, it's 1 to 2 years, and then you have additional as you go down. And I'm not going to look at all of this, but I'm going to start right here at level 1 because it's important that you don't waste your time looking at all these jobs in specific detail until you know if you're a fit or not. And then you go back and you see what those skills are. And if you need to get some, you can. If you like this company but you're not ready for this position, go to the company page and look at other opportunities. So it says right here, bachelor's degree, we talked about that in 1 to 2 years, okay? So we're not ready for that one in this class just yet, but we can get there, and all the information we showed you on how to search and how to get this done will get you there. So recommended by us is to check this section first to save a bit of time, and then backtrack depending on your overall interest in what you've read. We've put in so much time doing our research, doing our homework. That's great. Now we're going to let the platform do the work for us, whether that's Biospace or it's Indeed. This is going to help us remain up to date, okay? And again, I've been hitting on it, but signing up for those alerts. This isn't the only way, and I'm going to give you a couple of more ways. But once you've done your homework, identified regions, identified industries, identified job types, defined your comfort level for salary and everything that goes with it, you don't have to keep searching. You don't have to come back and do this all over again. You can actually have the platform contact you. So I've shown you this already, but registering for job alerts, and I haven't shown you this, web browser plugins. And I'm going to give you a couple of more treats too, but that'll get us going. I've pointed out in 2 different settings after you've done a job search how you can actually sign up for alerts. Broadening back out, you can click on the job alerts tab, and as it says here on the left, be the first to see new jobs. Outstanding. Okay, now you can, on the right hand side, create your own job alert that didn't relate to any of the previous searches by simply adding the titles you've learned, the companies you've learned, the keywords you've learned, the geography you're interested in, and of course, a place to contact you. So it says, and I agree, by creating these job alerts or receiving recommended jobs, you agree to their terms. Okay, so do click on that because that's important, and then you could do the Apple iTunes, yeah, I read that thing. But just know that there's some other things that might send you spammy unless you uncheck it. So do be sure you do spend a minute and do that, okay? Once you enter your criterion, it allows you ways to kind of, and multiple platforms to get those beyond just email. So I like the ones down here at the bottom, these little plugins. And so they're usually web browser based. For example, you see the Chrome extension or Firefox or Google Toolbar even. So if you use Chrome, you could do both the Chrome extension and the Google Toolbar button. And if you're doing Firefox, you can do Firefox plus the Google Toolbar button as well. These are just really convenient, really quick ways of helping you stay up to date. We know that's really important beyond just email. So this puts it back into your. They allow you a chance to have even more tools. There's forums here. I mentioned this. You can actually read reviews in more of a conversational style in which employees are interacting with one another. That forum setup is different than what you've seen with just the one-off reviews, say on Glassdoor, for example. These forums, again, allow for more back and forth between the employees that are commenting and leaving posts. And so that's helpful. The salary search tool is yet one more thing that you can use as a data point to compare. And lastly, I really like this, the RSS feed. They've kind of fallen out of favor a little bit with all these widgets and tools and email alerts, but creating an RSS feed allows you, by subscribing through whatever newsreader you prefer, and there's a lot of good ones out there. And if you're not sure what a newsreader is, you can either Google that, or you can click on this handy dandy RSS job feed example and build it within Indeed.com here to, based on your keywords, based on your job companies, titles, etc., locations, whatnot, get a live feed on your phone, on your computer, through a news reading browser or app. Or extension, whatever it is that you're using. Okay, so that concludes the Indeed video, and I hope you feel empowered to use it to learn about the skills that pay the bills and apply your values to get those in the future. Maybe even plan your coursework with your advisor. Great job.